Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today, well, we've got an interesting one. I thought I would share with you two recent drop-offs that came into my shop, both of those from the fishing industry captains, folks that run charter or for-hire types of fishing operations. One is located in New York, up in the Crabtree State Park area, which is across from Fire Island. And, well, the other one is from New Jersey. Both of those have the distinction of fishing competitively against other charter boats. And, well, in the Northeast we call them party boats or head boats, but those are the bigger types of things. You're always competing for your customers. You always want to make sure that they have the top level equipment so that their day on the water doesn't end with bad feelings about equipment that broke. And you also want to make sure that when the customer does get a hit and tie up on a fish, that reel doesn't fail. So ironically, both of these folks brought in boxes of Penn reels. So we're going to talk today about the Penn reels that charter boat and party boat or head boat captains use to fish in the New Jersey and New York area. And we'll tell you a little bit about that fishing experience as well, what they're targeting in terms of fish, how that reel is designed to help catch those, and well, the advantages or disadvantages of each. So the first box comes in. It's from Patrick. Patrick is Captain Gillen out on Crabtree State Park. As I mentioned, it's on the northern tip. It's about midway through Long Island. If you take a look at the map, the fishing on the Atlantic coast for Long Island runs from, well, Coney Island, which is Brooklyn, into and through Montauk Point, which is the furthest point out on Long Island. It's a very long island, and that's probably why it's called such. And great varieties of fishing inshore and offshore. I guess they're most well known for striped bass, particularly on the south shore of Long Island and out to Montauk Point. And, well, Patrick fishes two types of species. During the summer, he's fishing actually in the bays, the bay side of the barrier islands in some cases, or offshore, but near shore when he goes out into the ocean itself through those channels. The bay fishing is primarily for a species called summer flounder or fluke. It's called fluke locally. They can range anywhere from about, well, a pound all the way up to 10, 15 pounds, but, well, those are getting very rare. They used to call those the doormats. You're not finding them much anymore. But typically, if you're on the bay side, you're only fishing in 10 to 15 foot of water. You are fishing currents, so you do need some more line. And if you do hook up on, well, another types of species, you'll get sea robins and occasional sea bass, a sand shark or dogfish. You're going to need something a little bit stronger, but you don't need a lot of the fancy types of features and options that are found on reels. And well, his boat is primarily made up of the reels that you see in the box here. They're all Penn reels. For the offshore, for the striped bass and the like, he prefers the Penn Jigmaster. Why is it preferred? Well, it's got a lot more line capacity. It's got a broader frame. It's got a relatively high speed versus the other reels that they use. You're going to let out a lot more line when you hook into a striped bass, particularly if it's one that's of significant size. It will fight you. It has a good drag system, and it's very dependable, time-tested, durable, and, well, just a nice reel overall. So when you're going fishing for him and he's going for striped bass, you're probably going to find a pole that's going to be a 6.5 to a 7 foot pole with a Penn Jigmaster attached to it, with line that's, well, probably 20 or 25 pound test. And he likes to keep them all well maintained, cleaned, and ready to go fishing. That's what this is all about. When he's inshore, when he's behind the barrier islands, and you'll see bays and inlets all along the south shore of Long Island. You'll see Jamaica Bay, Sheepshead Bay, and others. That water is very shallow. that water is only 10 to 12 feet on average. Now, the currents will pull some line out, but you don't need a lot. And, well, they've been fishing the Penn Long Beach series. Now, this reel's been discontinued for some time now, but anytime I can find reels for him, he's open to having them. You'll find this rigged, again, with the same line. You're going to find 20 or 25-pound test, which is probably a little bit too much, but one of the things that will happen in tangles and in snag-ups is you won't break the line off. And that's important, particularly for the occasional fishing person. You don't want to hook a fish that may make your day and then have it break off. So they'll use a little bit heavier line. Same nice built frame, same quality of materials inside this. The difference is that this is a very low gear ratio. I think the gear ratio on this is less than 3 to 1. And on your Jig Masters, you're up over that. You're in the 3.5 to, I think, the 4 maybe. But at any rate, he's going to use the Penn Long Beach series and its variants. So you'll find the Long Beach 60 and 65. You'll find the Penn Delmar 285. And you'll find the Penn 85 Seaboy. And occasionally you'll find a 185, which was a little bit later version with a high-speed retrieve in it. Kind of an interesting reel all around. Again, they're targeting the summer flounder or fluke, an occasional sea bass, some dogfish, some sea robins and the like will come up with them, and it's just a good reel. I often get asked the question, why don't the party boat captains use reels that have level winds on them? You'll see there are some popular, bigger saltwater reels that do have the level wind line guide feature, which will help you to spool the line rather than you using your thumb to move that back and forth. Penn's series of that would have been the 310, 320, 330, and the very super GTI, which I think is either 340 or 345. Somebody will correct me on that for sure. But why don't they use it? Well, first off, these are have less moving parts, less things to break. If you have a line guide with a worm assembly and a pawl, and somebody hangs one of these up on the structure below, well, you can damage that line guide assembly pretty easily, tear up maybe the idler gear or the line guide assembly. It means that they lose a reel, and if you lose the reel, well, that's one less reel that you have, making you some money in the rod and reel rental. The other thing is it's very shallow. So even if you're not experienced with kind of thumbing the line back and forth to keep it level on your reel, again, you're only dealing with 10 to maybe 20 feet of water for the most part, for most days. And, well, don't even consider it. You don't even have to move your thumb. It's going to pile to wherever it is, and will self-line to some extent, but you don't need to worry too much. Now, if you were trolling, if you had 200 yards of line out or 150 yards of line out, yeah, you're going to want to have something, at least some experience there using a reel like this. But most of those charter boat captains don't need it in the waters that they're fishing. So he sent me a group of these Penn Long Beach reels and a couple of Jig Masters. That's how he's going to use them, and that's the Penn reels that he uses and the fish that he seeks to catch. The second group of reels came in from Captain Harry. Now, Captain Harry is on the New Jersey side of the water, and we're separated by New York Harbor. Both New Jersey and New York share the harbor. That's the Hudson River coming out underneath the Verrazano Bridge, and once it comes under the Verrazano Bridge, I guess it's considered the ocean. It's called Raritan Bay first, and then once you pass Sandy Hook, which is a national park, which is on both sides. There's the Sandy Hook Park in New Jersey as well as in New York. Once you pass that, it's considered open ocean. And that's the shipping lanes where a lot of channels that are coming into the New York Harbor kind of come together. Nice fishing off the ledges of those channels, nice currents and the like. You need something a little bit more substantial when you're fishing in those channels. And Captain Harry, he runs a smaller boat. He doesn't have a typical 50 or 60 people aboard. It's much less than that. I'm not quite sure if it's a 6-pack charter or not, but I'm going to find out a little bit more about that. Just met him the first time. Nice guy. He fishes out of the Atlantic Highlands in New Jersey, which is the northernmost part of the New Jersey shore. You're going to run out of New Jersey beaches after the Highlands. The Highlands is the highest part, interestingly enough, along the entire East Coast seaboard. So they have nice harbors there. You get to the ocean pretty quickly. And one of the reels that he's given me is a Penn Squall. And as we were talking before, this one actually has a level line feature on it. This one has, from feel, it's either 25 or 30 pound tests. So there is an ongoing theme there. He's going to be fishing differently than what the Cap Gillen's going to be fishing out on Long Island. There's a lot of rocky structure outside the harbor. Great place for sea bass, for porgy, or sometimes called scup, and well, the fluke are in there as well. And well, if it's the right season, you're going to find bluefish, which is a fighting fish, and you're going to find the striped bass spring and fall. So this will be a reel that'll kind of solve all of those issues. It's the Squall. Some people ask me, what's the difference between the Squall and the Fathom? Well, they're basically identical reels. The only difference is this one's got a graphite case and the Fathom's got a metal case. But otherwise, inside, you're pretty much going to find a Squall 20 and a Fathom 20 are identical. So we have a couple of those. I think there's 2 of those. Yeah, there's 2 of those Penn Squalls. This one you've seen. Here we go. This is the Penn Jigmaster. So it's not just Captain Patrick and Captain Harry that are running these reels. It's pretty much a staple on all of the boats in the area. Shame of it is that, well, they're all looking for the reels that were made in the United States. No surprise there. Jigmasters have been manufactured in China since the early 2000s. I think it was either 2005 or 2009 that the production moved over there. And as I was talking to Captain Harry the other day, it's amazing the inside what's been compromised. If you're interested in learning more about that, I actually have a video out there comparing the Chinese-made Jigmasters with the U.S.-made Jigmasters. This is the 500S, kind of an unusual reel in that the single take-apart system is not on the gear side. And for whatever reason, I've found that this frame is weaker than the frame that has the traditional setup with the free spool on this side and the fixed side plate over here. I don't know if it's because of the way that the single take-apart screw is in the bridge or not. I do feel that this is moving back and forth. You can probably even see it here. And that's a telltale problem with this particular model. So if you are looking for a Jigmaster, I would say stay with the 500, which is this reel. Single screw take-apart. Now here's a tip for you right there. If you ever break that screw off, it happens. It's a single, you pull it out and twist. If you ever break it off, one of the side plate frame screws, or the bridge screw, I think it's the bridge screw, one of those 2 screws will fit that hole. Just you're going to need a screwdriver to take it out as opposed to that single kind of pull out. So lots of Jigmasters, striped bass, sea bass, in the fall blackfish or tautog, also some deep water fluke. Don't be surprised if you pull up a bluefish if they're inshore. Now since Hurricane Sandy, we really haven't had good runs of bluefish, but at one point in time that was the summer staple. Now that seems like they're up in Maine, or they're quite a trip offshore to get them to where we are. Well, what's the other ones that he brought in? He brought in a high-speed Senator. This is the Senator 3.0, and for a minute there I always thought that, wow, there's a big difference between the black-sided high-speed Senators, low-speed Senators, the originals, and the red-sided ones. And the truth of the matter is, if you get a 4.0, and here's an example of that. We have a 4.0 Senator in the bag as well. I thought there was a big difference. Well, the original black-sided Penn Senators have about a 2.1 to 1 gear ratio. I was thinking this is going to be 4.1 or something. It's not. It's like 2.8. So it doesn't even crack 3. What are these reels used for? Tuna. So he's using these inshore tuna. We're near the canyons. It's a ride, but it'll take you a while to get out to Hudson Canyon and the like. Very deep troughs, and in the fall, with the water being pretty warm, you're going to get some nice tuna fish come up that way, and these are ideal. Or even some bigger reels, but I think he's targeting the yellow fins and the like at about 70 pounds. Those will get the job done. Okay, he also brought in a couple of others. Here's a inshore one. We've seen this. I've done videos on these. This is the Avet. It's the easy for me to say, SXJ 5.3, which means it's a 5.3 to 1. This is a narrow frame reel. He's loaded it with braid. Perfect for light tackle for the fishing he's doing when he's chasing the fluke or the sea bass or the blackfish. A very solid frame without twist. Don't know how this one got in here, but he's got a BG model here. This is the BG, let's see what it is. The BG 4000, it's the Daiwa, and unfortunately this one's seized. I get questions all the time from folks about charter boats and why don't they rent spinning reels as opposed to the conventional reels. Remember what we were saying earlier about the one where you got to learn how to guide the line back on these. You're not in deep water. Well, the truth of the matter is that these just are not as sturdy as the reels that the conventional reels. So by sturdiness, this would be number one because it's got the least moving parts, it's got a proven track record, and it's ready to go fishing 365 days a year. They don't fish that. They fish 250. We're pretty much off from December through March. Then this would be the next one. Very sturdy frame. It's not going to break down too much. Great parts inside of it, but it's got that line guide. And then spinning reels. Well, if you put these in the hands of an inexperienced angler on a fishing boat, all kinds of things happen. They catch their first fish. They get so excited. They drop the reel, bend the bail, break the bail, jam like this. If they're not watching, well, line goes off, doesn't come back on, tear up the drags if it's not set right. There's a whole bunch and a whole host of issues as to why those captains choose not to use spinning reels. So there are a lot of young anglers that do come out, and they're just going to be out for a day. Let's call them vacation folks. They're going to just have some eco entertainment. Most captains would prefer to just show them how to fish. Young anglers learn very quickly about how to drop the line and how to put it back together and crank it in. But the problem that you're also going to have with these is the cost to service these. If parts are available, depending on which reels the captains select, they become throwaways. And so a captain's going to do the economics of the reel. He's going to say, okay, I got to rent this reel. This reel will cost, let's say, just to make a number up, $150. I'm going to rent this reel tied to a pole for $10 to $15 for every trip. That means that I got to make somewhere between 10 trips and 20 trips to break even. If I break even on that, then I guess I can afford to throw it away and not have it serviced and go get another one. But that's a low profit kind of proposition, where if he can take a reel like this, it's got proven durability, availability of parts, doesn't break much, and he can put that on that same platform and have them fish this one 200 times a year. Well, just think about it. We'll do the math to make it simple. At $15 a rental, the 200 trips, $350. Parts and service, maybe $30, $40 once a year. I'd say that's a pretty good profit margin after the initial investment is recovered. They almost always buy these used. You can't buy this one new now anyway. The only ones you can buy new on the table here are those Penn Squalls. But when they buy them, they're in for the long run. They keep them serviced. You can see these are nice and clean. And, well, they pay back, right? It's the tools of your trade. One more here. He actually said I didn't need to service this one, but it's missing the cap. This is a Finwar Lethal. We were lamenting the fact that Finwar went from Zebco ownership to Pure Fishing, and that it's relegated to sunglasses now. You can't even find a new Finwar reel if you wanted to. And he asked me, do I have a cap to cover the bearing? That's how concerned he is about keeping his equipment top-notch and ready to go fishing. So I am probably going to do a video on this one, just because I don't think I have one of these in my shop. He said go ahead and service it, but his primary concern was that cap. He says he uses this for jigging bait, among other things, especially during the tuna run. He'll be out there, and if he hooks a tuna, he's not too worried about it. So this does handle pretty heavy line. It's got a 35, it'll hold 35-pound line at 235, 40 pounds will get you 220 yards. That's a lot of line there if you want to fish that reel in a yellowfin tuna kind of a variety. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I want to take a moment to thank you, and I want to thank our first responders as well, our police, fire, safety, rescue, for all it is that they do to keep us safe and out of harm's way. I want to encourage you to subscribe if you like these kinds of videos, and if you do, please like it in the section below, and also please leave a comment if you have any questions about these. And well, keep watching and have a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.